welcome Eva to this channel. I'm so happy to have you today.
Thank you. I'm so happy to see you again and to be on your channel. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So as for the people watching us, I've had a few sessions with Eva and I've read all your books and I watch your channel, and I really resonate with your work, with your voice, and through light language, through the work with the scenes. I really am so glad that we can talk today and introduce people who might not know you to your work and discover your book. So I want to talk specifically, we're a book club, and I want to talk about your recent book called Activate Your Cosmic DNA, and it talks about different star seeds. And I wanted to, well, first thank you for your work, and also ask you, how did you get into the spiritual journey and talking about star seeds?
Well, thank you for your work, and again, thank you for having me here and sharing me with your audience. And because we know each other for a few years now, it's such a beautiful to see you grow, because we all are growing, and when we're growing as a soul family, because we definitely are soul family. People who are watching your channel are soul family, and it's just such a beautiful journey to see and watch to unfold. So as I would say, all of us starseeds, we get on this journey through the extreme pain and the suffering, when we feel that the world is against us and everything is bad, and then we realize that there must be something good and something different, and we find in meditation. That's what I did. I had several experiences, I guess we can call it, and extraterrestrial visitations and experiences, and that led me to pursue eventually to this journey, to learn to understand what is it that is happening to me.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'm glad that we're on the side where we can guide others and let them see that different world exists. And sure, we're in the midst of a lot of suffering and a lot of violence, but we can find a way where love is the language, and we can shine our own light as well.
Definitely. I think it's so beautiful that we, because we live in this world that has so much difficulty, and yet we feel so different and lost in it. And just I would say, the acknowledging that we are different and there's nothing wrong about it. It's that, to making it feel better in this world. And I think we both, embark on this journey with this idea: if I help myself, I will help others as well. So it is good to be different and learn to understand it. And as you said, the laugh is the language that we all can understand. If there's one language in this world, should be laugh.
Yeah, definitely. And also when we help others, we are helping ourselves, because we're, crossing different paths and different obstacles that are so common to one another.
Yes, that is true.
I really love your message of being different. I actually have a quote. I was rereading your book today, and I really love it. So do you allow me to read it out loud?
Yes, please, do so.
So from your book, you talk about, you say you want to consciously understand who you are and why you feel so different. Being different can be the most amazing thing in your life when you understand yourself, and when you consciously embrace your ancient roots and allow yourself to believe that you are an extraterrestrial being living in a human body. This conscious knowledge should liberate you. It should feed your soul, not your ego. And this, it deserves to be on a t-shirt.
I love it over and over.
Because it feeds the soul. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. That's what this book is about. That was my biggest goal behind putting all information in this book, to really seeing that we feel difference, and there's a sort of, we do have this similarity, and if we start looking at it, we says, okay, I'm not different, I just have had different past life experience, and I'm start remembering them, and some people don't remember them, so we are way different than to them. The healing, telepathy, the remote viewing, healing abilities again, empathy, clairsentience, clairaudience are absolutely normal abilities. We're looking at them as, this special, something so special and so unique. Yet, thousands years ago, maybe millions years ago, well, on the earth, we're pretty sure that 100 or 1,000 years ago, they have been absolutely normal. And now, because we don't remember, we awaken into this and we start to feel so confused about ourselves, plus to our life circumstances suggest that we are very weird and different again. And we are starting to follow this way of how we're supposed to be and how we are programmed to be into really going on that journey and exploring of who we are. And I think, by exploring of who we are, at least that was my goal with the book, we will avoid the anxieties and panic attack and the stress, because instead of judging ourselves and striving to be perfect, I tried to be perfect for like 28 years of my life. Then I try about 7 or 8 more. And then I said, you know what? Let's just be me. And it takes a journey to be me, because we all are kind of damaged by trying to be something. But then they change it. And it says there are people like me, because this book is literally, and I guess I can say it's the data that I collected from the readings from many people, you included.
Yeah. Yeah, and you've been doing readings for 12 years, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, 12, almost 13 years now. Yeah, it's going to go on the 13th year, actually, in the November 1st.
Congratulations. But wow, that's a lot of data that we see in this book. Yeah.
Yes. And it all started as the developing of psychic abilities, and then all the Starseed family started to come. And, for all those who listen, I didn't know about the Pleiadians or Andromedians or anybody like that until about 13 years ago, when, well, it was probably before about 15 or 16 years before, when I had this voice saying like Pleiades, and here's my guide. And he came and I cried and had that moment, as many of us starseeds have, like this, like, oh my God, I remember this is home, but what does it even mean? There were no much of resources back then. There was Barbara Macchini's book, The Bringers of the Down, which is still the gold. And I wish I would have found the Barbara and Claw work earlier, but I did not. But it's very valuable work that I found in the past few years that is really good. Anyway, long story short, about 13 years ago, when I was starting doing the sessions, all these star beams started to come. And I was like, what is happening now? And the life got only better and better. And I could see that my clients getting better. And understanding our star seed or star cosmic DNA and history is literally for the reason to understand ourselves. We often dwell so much of time to say, okay, my father and grandfather, let's use this example, have been the alcoholic, so I have to heal this line so I'm healthy and don't continue in this pattern. That's a low vibration pattern. We live in the duality, the high vibration pattern. So my father and grandfather have been a captain on the spaceship and have developed, I don't know what kind of the technology or the healing. It's the same way. I heal the trauma. Why did I forget about them? And I can access that beautiful core of the energy. Same as my grandfather on the earth, who may have a troubles because things happened to him in the life, had a beautiful core soul energy within him. So it's like, accessing the earthly realm and the cosmic realm in the same way, collecting data literally of who am I, and putting it together in that beautiful tree of life that we are. Does that make sense?
Definitely. It's all about like remembering, and what you mentioned is it's something that I actually want to do a video on. It's when we start the spiritual journey, we address the shadows. And to do the shadow work is very interesting, but to do the work where we see our gifts, where we see our qualities, is sometimes more difficult than accessing the shadows. And to accept, yes, I am this too, I am that other part of the duality. That's difficult, but it's definitely something we need to talk about.
I'm so happy you mentioned that, because not many people talk about it. And especially like in the times of these full moons and the big changes, right? So this is something that I do this year on my YouTube channel, going like full moon and new moon intervals into every 2 weeks. To do so, like there is this charge of the energy. And yes, it is so easier for us to dwell in all those traumas than to really assess like, yeah, I have been the plating goddess. I have been the healer. I have been a warrior. I have been driving the spaceship. I have invented this kind of the technology. I have brought the crystals to the earth. I made a magical potion medicine from the herbs in the universe, right? And brought it down to the earth. Because we go like, oh, I don't know. I think that we are so used to suffering. That's my theory about it. And of course, the human body is programmed to suffering because it's fearful, and the fear helps us to survive and help us to hopefully reproduce for the future generation. So they're like infected by that suffering. Yeah. And so we need to encourage people to really look into those good things. And I think it's not one way or the other way. You have to do your shadow work to access your higher assets and the power. Because if you just are in the higher worlds, you're going to get disconnected. You're going to hate your life. You're going to hate your body. You're going to hate everything around you. And I think that's a common problem as well in the spiritual community today, the disconnection in this. The world is beautiful. The life is really horrible, or let me live in the horrible of the life and let me not assess the highest capability or abilities I have. So it's from separation to oneness that we have to work on now.
Exactly. That path of finding that balance between the two and accepting that they also exist together at the same time. It's all a paradox. Yeah.
I think that's why we came to the earth, because lately I'm really observing of this duality. There's a good and there's a bad within us. There's a good and there's a bad. Our soul mind consciousness can be really highly in frequency and accessing high information. And there's a bad when we can again to dwell into whatever happened to us or what is happening right now. And I think that once we find that balance, which to me will be in that moment of now, sort of, even if we don't have it all figured out, because I don't know, I don't think neither of us have it all figured out. Otherwise, we'll be somewhere else. We are all on the healing journey. Doesn't matter how many years we have done it or what we do for the work, we're healing every day. But if we stop at that moment of now, I think that's that perfect synchronicity, perfect harmony. And maybe we can assess it for the minute, 2 or 3, or maybe for the whole hour of the whole day. But that is that moment when when it all syncs and clicks in. When you read a book like mine or anybody else, and it all syncs and clicks in, and go like, oh, okay, the shadow work paid off. I can feel it, what is happening to me. Then you need to sustain it for a little bit longer to create our reality. I'm a true believer that we can create our reality. But we really need to understand ourselves, because then we just creating chaos if we don't. And I don't mean it in a bad way, I think we all can look at our personal life to see like, oh, that was bad choices, that was chaos, that was like, let's not even talk about that. And now we have that chance to create in the 5th dimensional consciousness of the love and happiness.
I do feel like this time is also a time of reckoning where the chaos is just the past coming to the present. So we're kind of clearing up a lot of the past, which, doesn't necessarily represent this year, but all of the previous centuries.
I agree with what you says. And also we know that the greatest change is preceded with chaos. And with all this, we have to clean up. And it's good that you mentioned that, because I think we are coming out of a very powerful cycle and opening a new cycle. And I know we talked a little bit about the winter solstice before we started. So is it okay we start weaving it in?
Of course, because I wanted to ask you, your book came during the summer solstice at the end of June. And I wanted to ask you about how it feels now to have this information in the hands of so many people, and to approach the winter solstice and to introduce it now to the people watching this video. How does it feel, and how do you feel about this time?
How did it feel? There's a really, of course, it is a very exciting feeling, when your book comes out and you go like, oh my God, it happened. But for it to happen, Ritali, in the English language, I had to let go of all my control on my wants and on my needs, and let the synchronicity of the God source to decide when is the right time. Because, this book has been around for quite a while until it came into English publication. He has been published in Germany for a few years, has been on the Amazon for a few years. So I want everybody to understand the synchronicity of it. So when I let go of, I put out what is it I would like to have, of course, but to let go of the control of how it's going to happen. It happened. Of course, I did not have it. I could not choose that it's going to be published on the summer solstice. It chose itself. My publisher somehow beautifully aligned it without them probably planning it as well. This is the God source energy. This is the higher force energy that is even about the extraterrestrial beings. I do believe we create something from that soul mind consciousness that is supposed to help to humanity. It comes out at the time that it's supposed to come out. Of course, would I want to have it out in 2015 when the first draft was done? Oh, absolutely. It's 2022, for God's sake. And so that was like portal into the new, because after the summer solstice, when it got all energized and we go through the Lion's Gate, to me, it's like a shifting of the reality. And I was thinking, okay, now we are ready. Perhaps I have done enough reading and we all watch the Gaia now. And there's just so many people talk about it, that this starseed consciousness, it's just an everyday normal. Now, the next thing is to bring the dreamy world into the physicality, into the physical world. And I think that's that bridge between the summer solstice and the winter solstice. So the summer solstice, I would say for us in the northern hemisphere, even, down there they have a winter solstice. I have a lot of clients from the Australia. But here, in that summer, we are in this dream world, kind of, it's beautiful, it's that summer dream, and we like to meditate and sit under the stars. And if you live in the South Carolina, it's like hot all the time, but at least it's a summer, it's warm. And then, we do read and travel for our vacations. We travel to these perfect places where we feel connected to the grid, to the earth, to the ancient sites, or at least to the ocean and dolphins. And then the work will start happening from the activation to the embodiment. And that is my hope for the winter solstice, that we try to manifest the embodiment, that we take this activating dream and we literally will bring it slowly into the body. And it's time that we start evolving from the three-dimensional survival beings to the fifth-dimensional evolving multidimensional beings. Because if we are starseeds and we have lived those lives up there, we were multidimensional. Now we are living in this three-dimensional body right now. That is, again, to rule by the fear and the suffering and the pain and all that stuff. We need to refurbish the body to embody our DNA, our starseed DNA. We'll have to really look at it and start saying, okay, what is my action and reaction? What is my thinking process? Does the full moon get the best out of me, or can I still my thoughts, even though there may be like a raging war inside of me? Can I stay in that moment of the now and don't react? I think that is the biggest thing, and that's where your cellular structures start changing in that love and happiness kind of frequency of the love and light frequency. Okay. Going back to the winter solstice, I want to share with you something that I find fascinating. So the last year, 2021, have been the very same numerological value as 2012. So it was almost like 2012 cycle ended. From the 2012 to 2021, we had sort of this try-run. A lot of people awaken, people before that awaken, and we were trying our spirituality and our healings and our crystals and what is working, not working, went through the transformation and frustrations and so much on. Now I think the real work will really begin. And I think that's what we're stepping up in this winter solstice. When we breathe in our cosmic self and says, okay, how does that, let's say, Pleiadian soul healer merge with the 21st century Eva, for example, who is a mother, who is friend, who is wife, who is busy with her work? How that merge really happen of my higher self with my human self, and how we will make it work in that divine marriage of the twin flame energy. Don't get all ideas out there in our personal twin flame energy. before we find our soulmates and connect with the soulmate family. How do we make it normal? How do we make it normal? How it is that, yes, having the crystals around your house is normal. Energizing your food or your herbal medicine is normal. Balancing the medical needs with the holistic needs is normal. I think that it's going to be our biggest challenge now, and excitement as well to manifest. And so on the winter solstice, we should really focus, I think, our meditation to stay in the body, to really practice to meditate, to stay in the body. Because it's so easy like to go out. I mean, after the training, you go like, oh, can I just be there for a little bit longer? No, you need to stay in the body and make the body to be your cosmic, to be the beautiful temple for your cosmic self.
That's exactly what my past few months have been like. And it's always a renewal of my dedication to be here and to stay here and to be of service. So it's really just connecting with my higher self and saying again and again, like, this personality Capucine gives you that opportunity to be highest Capucine and to do that and to really learn and heal, but also be there for others. And no matter what it takes, it's not easy, that's for sure. And it requires a lot of bravery. That's true too, coming out and saying like openly, I am this and I am that, and this is what I believe in, and this is what my daily life looks like, oh hi Andromedans, oh hi this, and and then continuing the work. So I highly encourage everyone to continue doing that through light language. Light language is a huge help to open up and make the body filled with that light and plants those roots, like be a tree and be grounded. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love how you say that. And I'm so happy that you're doing it. And again, there's a soul family in the beautiful showcase, because I'm saying like you, I'm excited to be here. It took me a while, but I'm excited to be here now. I'm even excited for the next lifetime. And there's so much on, because what you were saying about the excitement about the life, that's what we need to do to get to it, to walk barefoot in the grass, to feel the sun on our skin. Because this is what I wanted to say. If they could do it from there, if we could do it from the higher realm to assist the evolution, I mean, we would not be here. Exactly. We are the boots on the ground. We are the ambassador of our soul star families. And they go like, okay, this is how you can be in the service. And literally to be in a service is creating a way of life that is inspiring to the others. When they feel comfortable, says, okay, so you identify yourself as a Pleiadian or as an Andromedian, and everybody around is okay with it. You even make a fun out of it. And you go like, yeah. Because the beauty is when you accept yourself, everybody else accepts you. So your soul family or the cosmic soul family actually needs you more than you need them. Because we are like, these receptors of how it is that we can assist the humanity. And there's this fun explanation that I found lately about, that connection, because, people will say like, okay, I'll be the ambassador, but how do I channel and how do I connect with all of that? Does the book talk about it? The book helps you to activate yourself. There's a lot of exercises to understand yourself. But then you have to go through your changes and exercises. I remember when we talked together, I think for the first time, and then you started to really put all the practice in a way. You practice so hard and you did that. So you developed yourself in actually a short period of time, if you think about it. It didn't, it speed up the journey, the practice. So the compare is, it's like, we figure it out like, oh, there's something else. We have like that 3G phone, and we want to connect to the 5G towers. We all complain about it 2 years ago, but you know what? Nobody budged. We were all like, oh my God, it's going to fry our brains and things are going to work out. But we all went and bought the 5G phones, and we adjusted and we evolved. The same goes with the body. We're not going to buy the new body. I think this is the beauty of this lifetime. This is such a gift of it, that we came out of the cycle of that 2012 energy, which was predestined. it was almost solidified in the stone. And we got out of it, and now there's like the field of the infinite possibility. So we refurbish the body to be compatible to 5G. This is just metaphorically said. And we can communicate with them. As you said, through the day, like what the Andromedians are saying, oh, Pleiadians have that idea. Excuse me, I'm just a human. I'm having a coffee right now, okay? I'm taking my break. Bring the humor in it and really start working on yourself and integrating the physical energy changes and exercises.
Definitely. And that's what I love about all your books. You have so many practices and exercises. It's not just something mental that you read. It's not just words on paper. It is just something that you can stop and do right now and experience. And that's what's going to tell you what's true, you know? Otherwise, you can get influenced or manipulated by anyone's words. But practice and the actual experiment is always something that I do in my classes too, because people get to touch it, to feel it, to have that experiment, that scientific experiment, and they see the truth. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thank you. And you're absolutely right. You know, we all have a gazillion books at home, and it's all that many of them, you know, they are beautiful and amazing, but there's so much intellectual knowledge that comes from them. And it's sort of, you know, one night I had this dream that my guides were showing me, to like a bubbles, that we take it as a bubbles, that we take it in and stay there a little bit and it goes out. It was like this beautiful horizontal energy. And they says, you know, you need to take this bubble that would represent the book, and you need to bring it in your vertical energy. You have to digest it. You have to embody it. And the embodiment is only by the practice. So that's why I put such an emphasis on practice. I write the practice in every single of my book. You find something to practice. And not, I would say, all my books don't have all answers, because that's what it says, like, go and Google it, like, go and research it, go and find more information, because when you do that, again, you're feeling it, right? And when you're feeling it, that's your soul, mind, consciousness that are inside of your body awakening and saying like, wow, I remember, this is so cool. And you go like, okay, what is next?
Thank you so much for sharing this. I want to ask you a question that also has to do with the winter solstice. There's the movie Avatar 2 who is coming out, and it's all about water. It looks like Atlantis and Lemuria, and it's going to be a massive movie that everybody's going to watch. So I feel like there's a lot of codes that are going to come there. So I wanted to ask you about this, and how do you feel about this information showing us also the climate change that we're experiencing here being published, released in that winter solstice? Do you feel like there's that cycle coming in?
Well, we are in the cycle of evolution and changes. So there are natural changes that are going to be happening, and we need to adjust to them. I cannot wait for the movie to come out. I love the Avatar one, so I'm just so excited. And I haven't seen the preview, but as you said, there's a Lemuria and Atlantis. So it reminds you of the Lemuria and Atlantis. So there are going to be a lot of subliminal messages, right? And those metaphorical messages. I think our next chapter in our humanity is to combine Lemurian and Atlantinian energy together. I even came up with the name of it, Lemutians. It's the cross between the Lemurians and the Atlantinians, Lemutians. I want to write a whole book about it. There was a water. I mean, you know, we know that the body is composed most of the water. There was a water in the Lemuria. There was a water in the Atlantis. There's a water still today. We have a same water on the earth. It's literally recycling up and down. Since I had the chills all over, since the time before even the Lemuria. So the consciousness is all there. The knowledge is all there. We just do not know how to assess it. And, you know, we get too angry or too controlling or anything. And perhaps the water changes, or, you know, the craziness in the water pattern maybe help us to connect more to the nature, because more of us do meditate with the nature and kind of like to calm down and give love to the nature. I believe that which I know is absolutely not scientifically proved, but the shift in the poles happen by the consciousness, not by the predestinate counted number, how it's supposed to happen. If we shift our consciousness, and I'm going to say this wild, and just please know that it's my just personal feeling and the channeling of this. It shifts around our consciousness. So it doesn't have to go into a complete shift and a change and so much on. We don't have to go through this big suffering and huge water changes. If we change ourselves, the earth will change with us. For now, unfortunately, but lovingly, earth is trying to change us in her way, like a mother, who would say the child who doesn't listen would sit in the naughty spot. Oh, that's, I think, the probably most kindest thing what you can do. From my generation, there are more different kind of the way how to convince the child to listen. But if you sit it in the naughty spot for a little while, the child may have a time to either calm down or to think about it, what have happened. So the earth is sending us in these naughty spots. And I may not have a perfect English words for it, but it's giving us, these warnings, like, look, what is happening, how you will change, how you will adjust to it. And perhaps if we all activate our cosmic DNA, when we activate it, all those who did not have a cosmic life will activate within them as well, because we are all destined to have a multidimensional lives. We are all destined to evolve. Whenever we are starseeds, or whenever we started a life here from the biological life, we are all on the same trajectory because we are in these human bodies. But if we shift in that fifth dimensional solar consciousness, which to me is the love and happiness, unconditional love and this happiness, then the earth will shift as well. As Mahatma Gandhi says, if you want to change the world, you change yourself. And I do think that this statement really goes all the way to the core of the earth. So what the future is going to be, it's going to be on us. And lately I feel guided toward the principle of 100 monkey syndrome. Of course, we need a little bit more than the 100 starseeds around the earth. But if we, all start connecting together in that same kind of the consciousness, let's say in the simple way, I choose to have a life of fifth dimensional solar frequency filled with love and happiness, and I trust I'm going to have that life. It's such a simple statement, yet it encompasses everything. That itself can create a 100 monkey syndrome. When they did the harmonic convergence in the 1987, but it was 1987, it was the first harmonized and organized whole world meditation. It changed the world. It changed it shifted so many changes in it. At that time, I lived in the Czechoslovakia, which was a communist country. It would be almost impossible for me to living in the USA and speaking English and so much on if the changes did not happen. And there were, and again, the shift and the changes do happen through the chaos and unrest and suffering and the pain. And now through this winter solstice, we can choose that we don't have to do it that way. We can do it with love and happiness. Why not? It is something that is absolutely bold and brave and wild because we don't have a program for it. So we as a starseeds, we have to tinkle with it a little bit and find it and install it. And I think just by way of the thinking of it and practicing it in our life, which means like, when the bad thing happened to you, then you go like, oh, it happened for good. Like when my son walks in and completely interrupt and knock on the door and he knew he wasn't supposed to, instead of just sitting with him, he says, okay, let's just make a fun out of it and accept it for what it is instead of feeling absolutely bad. If my lawnmower breaks up, there must be a reason for it. If my washer breaks up, there must be a reason for it. That's a new way of the action and reaction, where the resources or the people who will help you to fix it will come to your life just like that. That is the simple practice in our everyday life, to practice how to be our starseed self.
Thank you so much for saying all this. I want to ask you another question, that is, if someone just clicked on this video and was beginning to discover their Starseed journey, apart from reading your book, what kind of advice would you give them, or just one sentence?
Start follow your passion. Start to try to look what you like when you were a child, what you were drawn to, what was your play, what was your imagination, because that will give you a lot of clue of who you are and who are you connecting with. And then instead of, be in this like, that cannot be true, that cannot be me, tune it into this, yes, that is true and that is me. And start practicing, find some form of any energy work, qigong, yoga, walking barefoot in the grass, and start connecting to yourself. Like spend the time to go within and start understanding who am I and what kind of the more knowledge and the guidance I need to get in the life, because you will receive it.
Thank you. I have a last question. Do you have a next book in the works?
Yes, well, I have, that my books are on the Amazon. So there are 4 more books already in the ebook format on the Amazon, which I'm hopefully will put into the physical form as well. That is the plan. But the exciting book, that's I think what you're asking about, I just finished writing my book number 6, which I think is going to be called The Embodiment of Our Cosmic DNA. And it really works about a transformation, doing the physical transformation from the 3D cellular self of our survival being into 5th-dimensional evolving being. And the topic in this book would be the connect with your soulmate. Soulmate was sort of the example of this book, the soulmate and the soul family. And this book is magic itself. I'm so excited. I just have to finish the editing and put it out there in the world. But this is the baby right now.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I can't wait to read it. Thank you so much. So where can people find you if they want to have a session with you or study with you or read your books?
So people can find me at my website, evamarquez.org. I will spell it EVAMARQUEZ.org. There are all my sessions written, and you can definitely, they are flexible, so you can choose anything that you want. And my classes, I teach the soul healing classes, language of light classes, and there will be more classes in the next year because I'm so excited about all of this. I wish that everybody loved their work as much as I love doing my work. So thank you. Of course, my YouTube channel and on the Amazon, everything, when you put the Eva Marquez, there I am. Thank you.
Thank you so, so much for your time. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm so happy that you reached to me and that we have done this. Thank you. And good luck with everything that you are doing. I'm so happy that we know each other. We met each other in this lifetime again. And I'm so excited for what you are doing for humanity. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you too.